This personal protective equipment is mandatory for the all the sites. It's a policy decision for the employer how the mandatory PPEs, optional PPEs based on the hazards and risk. Based on the risk assessments, this personal protective equipments controls. This controls is established based on the risk assessments. Every company is having a lot of risky jobs. In these risky jobs, you can have the risk assessments. Based on the risk assessments, you have a recommendations for controlling the hazards and risk. So for controlling the hazards and risk, you have a PPEs. This is one way of controlling the risk level. For example, based on the risk assessments, there is a hazard, risk, and then residual risk. Then after the control, what is the risk? So the risk always risk. When after the risk assessment matrix, there are numbers: quantitative risk assessment, qualitative risk assessments. In this quantitative risk assessments, you have a likelihood and probability. This likelihood and probability give the numbers. In that number, there may be 3, 4, maybe out of 5. So 5 means fatality, high, high chance of accidents, incidents, and the probability is high. So 4, 3 means the companies, they want to bring the level, the residual level of risk into 1 or 0. So for that, in the risk assessment this risk assessments, we can call it as a register. In that risk assessment register itself, you have the last column, there is a control, or there is a risk level, significant risk, insignificant risk. So if case the significant risk is there, definitely there should be a proper control measures are there. So in that risk, you have a control measures of mandatory PPEs, and then lot of things are there. After that, there is a residual risk level, maybe 0 or mostly it may be 1, like that. So this is the risk matrix. The register, we can call it as a hazard, risk. In that the risk level, we can call it as a likelihood, probability to probability. So this hazard, risk, then another part is how much the risk level you have. After that, you have a control measures, then you have a final risk. In that control measures itself, you know it, what will be the PPEs. There are mandatory PPEs and also optional PPEs. So the PPEs are very much important to avoid any kind of accidents, especially the injuries for the laborers, workers, those who are working in the construction site or highly hazardous sites. The mandatory PPE is must to avoid any kind of accidents, incidents. So the first part is head. So the head is always is a vital part. So the companies, the employer has definitely needs to be provided the hard hat or safety helmet as per the standard. So once they are providing the safety helmet, then it should be the mandatory for the all the hazardous or non-hazardous wherever, because trip, fall, hazards always there everywhere in every sites. The trips, falls and moving objects and hitting objects is always there in every sites. So this mandatory PPEs is must be the hard hat, that is a safety helmet. Then you have a second one, goggles or safety glasses. The safety glasses or goggles is must for to protecting the eyes. So there are a lot of chemical and biological agents are there in the sites. So when the chemical, biological and radiative agents are there in construction site, wherever the sites are there in the worldwide, the eye protection is must to save the eyes. So the safety goggles and safety glasses is must for that. Then third part is respiratory. It's based on the hazard and risk. You can choose the mask. If the chemical and biological industries are there, food industries are there, you must have a proper mask. But some other industries less harmful and hard and hazard and risk, you can just avoid the mouth mask. We can call it as two types. One is mask, another one is respirators. So the respirator for the physical, chemical, protecting from the physical, chemical agents. But the mask, general mask is to protect from the biological agents or respiratory, to protect the respiratory system. So in case of illness, in case of any disease based things, you can wear the mask. And then in case of dusty environment or polluted environment, mask will be provided. This mask and respirator based on the company's risk assessment, you can choose either it's a mandatory or not. Then third one is mouth mask or respirator. We already seen hard hat, safety helmet. It's a mandatory for the all the industries. And then safety glasses or goggles is mandatory for the all the industries, because eye that much important. The mask, as I said, as per the risk assessments of the company, you can choose the whether it's a mandatory or not. In office environment, you can say sometimes not required if the normal positions, but in dusty environment, polluted environment, mask is required. And also when you are in the biological and radiative systems, you must have chemical agents are there, you must need a mask. So you clear about that. Then another part is body protection. Head, eye, then mouth, that is respiratory systems. Then the fourth one is body system. How you can protect the body. Gowns, and then coveralls, and then visible clothing, illuminating clothing. We can say in roadside you can see the visible clothing, brightest visible clothing, to know the persons working in the place. And also it should not be loose. When it's loose, it's easily easily caught by the machines. When people are working in the machines or wherever the places, the coverall and protective cloth and visible bright protective illuminating cloths is important, because in the open areas the hazard and risk high. People's with the brightest cloths, it's easily identified. It's a safety thing. And also the coveralls, those who are working in the machineries, big industries, it's better to hold the body intact, and also there should not be any injury in case of any machines caught the cloth. This is for the body protection of any kind of industries. Then hand gloves. The hand gloves, you can say it's optional based on the hazard and risk involved jobs. For example, welding, gas cutting, some other highly hazardous jobs required hand gloves. It's mostly based on the company's risk assessments. You can choose whether it's a mandatory or optional hand gloves. For in the office system, those working in the office are less risky job, you can choose the optional. But those who are highly risk job only, you can choose the mandatory. Less risk job, you can choose optional. Then you can have a foot. Safety shoes or footwear. These safety shoes is definitely mandatory for all type of industries. This safety shoes, as per the standard, OSHA standard, you have to provide safety shoes. It's already, as I said, this personal protective equipment all under the employer's responsibility. Cost of the products all to be borne by the employer. He has, as per the rights, it's a employee's rights to ask the employer to provide the proper personal protective equipments, and also quality of the personal protective equipment must for that. So when the peoples are using the personal protective equipment, there are responsibility of the employer and employee. So the employer's responsibility to provide the clean and exact size and quality personal protective equipment as per the standards. But the another part is employees' rights are to maintain personal protective equipment and using the correct PPE, selecting the correct PPE, and maintaining, disposing, and maintaining hygiene in that PPEs and disposing PPEs is the employee's responsibilities. So the employer is clear and then employee is clear. So these two things not to be confused. Both of them having the rights. You see, you cannot simply tell employees we cannot provide the safety things. The same thing, the employees also simply not tell I will not maintain the PPEs, I don't have proper PPE. Once you provide it, you have to use the PPEs in all the time wherever the requirements. Then we have seen safety boots for food production. Then ear muff or ear plug for ears. There is a environmental impact assessments. In this environmental impact assessments, you have a noise calculations and noise recordings in the industries. Wherever the noise exceeds 80 decibels, you have to wear the ear mask or earplugs. So, already your company has the environmental impact assessment. In that environmental impact assessment, noise recordings are there. If the heavy noise producing industry, in that case, the company, if the limits, the duration and the noise protection is above the 80 decibel, then you have a time to give the ear flex or ear muff, this side or this side. This ear plugs or ear muff, you can, make it mandatory as per the environmental impact assessments, like noise assessments, if above 80 dB. Then, if it's okay, less than 70 dB or 50 dB, normal 50. Then less than 70 dB, no need to worry about it. And also the duration may be 50 to 55, 45. This, but the normal range, you must know it. The noise decibel level for normal residential areas 45 to 50. Then for industrial areas 55. So this is reference values. The PPEs, you must know what is the purpose of the PPEs. These all the purpose is for the safety helmet, the protection from the stripping, falling and hitting objects. And then you have a safety goggle or glasses for the biological, chemical agents and radiative agents protections. Then ear is from the high noise level above 80 dB will damage your ear drum. So that's why this ear mask, ear muff or ear plug is for the save your ear membrane. This ear membrane, when continuously exposing the high level of noise, it will be damaged. So that's why ear mask. Then, as I said, mask, the purpose already we discussed. Then coverall we discussed, and then safety boot, this one to protect your health. For example, in case of any hit for your legs and foot, it will damage entire system. That's why the foot protection is must, because most of the hazardous industries all having the problem of the foot, the uneven surfaces and very sharp edges, uneven surface, sharp edges, or heavy equipment loading and construction areas, lot of debris are there. So for these all protections, you must have a proper safety helmet or safety foot. Then you can have a hand gloves. This hand gloves based on the risk assessment levels. Based on the risk assessment levels, you, as I said, hazard, risk, then risk matrix. In that risk matrix, like likelihood and probability of the hazard, risk, likelihood and probability makes the numbers. In that number, you have a high enough, then more than 5, you have a control measures. In that control measures, you have a mandatory PPEs. In that mandatory PPEs, in case of significant risk. Insignificant means the less control measures. But significant risk, you must have a high level of control measures. It's not only mandatory PPE, there are a lot of controls are there. You know the different kinds of control measures. So this PPEs is the arrangements for the controlling the hazard risk in the industry based on the risk matrix. So the PPEs once head to food, then this is the mandatory for the most of the industries. Some of the PPEs are mandatory, as I said, safety helmet, then safety goggle or glass, and then body protection, and then safety shoes is the most of the industries is a mandatory. But when it comes to the mouth mask or respirator and ear plugs, hand gloves, these are optional based on the particular job risk and risk level, risk assessment outputs. If the significant risk is there for that job, you can you can make it in that industry. That is mandatory, this mouth mask, ear plug, and then hand gloves. Some other industry, no need means no need. So the risk, if the risk is there, you can use it. Ask them to press the use it as per the mandatory rules and regulations. But we cannot simply say that in the office room you have to wear the safety helmet, because in the safety helmet is for the yard areas, open places, and then construction areas. Then, but when your peoples are in the office, the risk level is less of falling, hitting objects and all. So the helmet in the office room, it's you can choose as a optional as per the standards. The same thing, the hand gloves, and then ear muff or ear plug or mouth mask. This all comes. Whether these all personal protective equipment, how it's controlling the hazard and risk and accidents incidents. This PP is controlling the major part. For example, wet floor, uneven floor, construction sites, debris are there, and then falling objects are there. People use it to fall. The hard helmet is useful. Then safety glasses, it's a dusty environment, polluted environment, wind storm, and then around the area is highly polluted, and biological pathogens is there, unhygienic environment, and dusty water environment, then radiation, the around areas, construction areas, sometimes radiation will have. These all will help you from the this all easily you can solve with the safety goggles or safety glasses. It's a mandatory for all kind of sites. So then what about the mouth? The mouth is the very important areas, because the illness will come easily from the mouth. So the mouth mask or respirator N95, like that, the N95 mask or respirator, in case of highly chemical industry, there will be a proper respirator, chemical respirators. There is a activated carbon looks is there. The activated carbon contained mask are available, that will be used for the filtering the fresh air from chemical and lab industries. The same thing, the safety coveralls and all based on the places. It will easily avoid the accidents, and also the hand gloves, then safety food. So whether it's employer's responsibility, employer, as I said before, employer has to provide the all PPEs required for the employer has to provide to employee. Required PPEs all. It's a mandatory as per OSHA standard. What about employees? Employees, they have to maintain using the correct PPEs. If any problem with the PPEs, any mask, goggles, or safety helmet, or coverall, any fit size, it's not a fitting or not properly correcting the your PPEs, you can ask the employer to provide and replace the PPEs. So it is must, because the PPEs, any complaint, you can easily ask the employer to replace, and you can use the proper PPEs. And also employer has the right to give the violation if you are not wearing the proper PPEs in a mandatory PPE area. You are not wearing the PPE means employer has the right to give the penalty to the concerned people. And also the employees not wearing, not maintaining, not disposing properly, and not maintaining the proper hygiene of the PPE means you have some violations. So employer having the some responsibility, employees having the some responsibilities. It's a must to have that one. So these must be clear. The PPE is disposing, simply you should not throw it. You have to dispose in a proper manner. And also daily using PPEs, you have to maintain hygiene. How hygienically you are maintaining the PPEs is very, very important. So as per the OSHA standard itself says, there are employees' responsibilities what? Employer responsibilities what? So these are the overall structure of the PPEs, personal protective equipment. This personal protective equipment to protect the people, the first level of controls, as per the risk matrix, risk register matrix, you can have a controls. In that controls, you have the PPEs are first level of controls to avoid accidents, incidents, risk, hazards, everything. So you have to be think about the PPE's importance when you are working in the construction sites or highly risk jobs. It's a must to wear the PPEs, as you have to employer has to take a stand. What is mandatory PPE? What is optional PPE? So the mandatory PPE, there should be signboards. Is there mandatory PPE areas? And when you have a optional PPE areas, you have a signboards. So in case a person or anyone, whether it's a subcontractor or work visitor or anyone, he is not wearing the PPEs in the mandatory PPE area, then it's a violation. So you can give the violation notice for that, penalty notice for that. So it's also one of the employer's responsibilities. So the overall, the PPE structure is from head to foot. How the structure is there, what are the considerations these are? There are chemical pathogens are there, biological pathogens are there, radiative things are there, and then the overall health things are there. So these all how you are considering based on the risk assessment. In that risk assessments, you can make it mandatory PPE, optional PPE, and what are the PPEs, the selection of the PPEs, and providing the PPEs to the concerned employees, and what are the rules to maintain the PPEs for employees. These are all the things you must know it. It's very important. As per the OSHA standards, 29 CFR, you can say part 1910. This one is very, very important. and also the training. The training part is the safety employer's responsibility, because how to use the PPEs and then how to maintain, how to dispose, these all training must be given to the employer. So the employer side, the safety department, safety officers, safety professionals are there. So you have to provide the PPE, you have to give the correct PPE and also the exact fit PPE you have to give, and then give the training for the employees for how to use, where to use, what is mandatory PPE, what is optional PPE, then how you can, maintain and dispose, how hygienically you can maintain these things. Training must be given from the employer side to employee side. So this is the PPE's overall structure. So I hope you like it. Just you want more information, you just watch the my continuous live HSE training sessions. Thank you for participating this training. Thank you very much. We will see another live program. Thank you.